Even the best amongst us get so conditioned to do the same thing over and over, even when it isn't bringing us happiness. And Annette Barder's husband, Steve, gave her the Inspired Work program about 10 years ago as a birthday gift. And she walked into the program, she opened up to what she really wanted out of life, and this is how she progressed. And your husband gave it to you as a birthday present.
Right.
What state of mind did you walk into the program with, and what happened, and what's going on in your life since?
Well, when I walked in, I had the 20 years of my professional history were just a nightmare. I guess had reached a breaking point, but really didn't even give myself permission to know that until I attended your seminar. I was just completely miserable. My mother passed away in her sleep when I was 19, and so my career took a path out of necessity versus out of choice. And I took a route of business, and I ended up in I started out as an entrepreneur owning businesses, and wound up managing big box retail, which was hours of thankless work, and I was really stressed and I was really unhappy. But I was sort of stuck in a paradigm, like many people are, thinking that, okay, here I am. I have 20 years of experience in this industry. How can I find something else to do that's going to pay me enough to make it worthwhile to get out of bed in the morning? And when I attended your seminar, I had all of these random thoughts about what I wanted, and they didn't seem to connect, even though I wanted them to. I wanted to find this ideal situation where the majority of my want list would be met, and it was really kind of pleasant to even give myself permission to think about those things, because I don't think I had done that prior to that. And I was afraid to, and by the time the weekend was over with you, I found that it was more frightening to think about staying where I was until retirement than it was to actually think and possibly try to pursue some of the interests and dreams I had professionally. My personal life was in check for the first time probably in my whole adult life, and I really wanted my professional life to be aligned with it. And there were a lot of contradictions in what I thought, in what I wanted. I was in this mode of, I want to have fun. I've had the weight of the world on my shoulders up until now. Like I said, I lost my mother. I was always had to be very financially responsible. When I met Steve, I had a little bit of liberty to think about more creative things and maybe what I would have done if things hadn't have, started out the way they did. And, on one hand, I was an entrepreneur and a businesswoman and a manager and all these things. On the other hand, I really didn't want the responsibility of all of that, but I wanted to be able to utilize some of those skills and some of the things I liked about it. And I didn't know how that was going to manifest, but so 2 years after your program, I had the courage to leave what I had known for the last 20 years and started working for this little startup company with owners that were about my son's age. And they needed somebody like me that had expertise and that had experience and was willing to roll my sleeves up and get to work with them. And it was awkward in the beginning because I was learning how to be an employee and my bosses were children. And but anyway, what I liked about them is they had great values. I was able to be creative. I was able to have an impact on what happened, but I didn't have the financial responsibility of the outcome of anything. So that felt really comfortable, and I really liked that. Well, fast forward, I've now been with that company for almost 9 years, and it's grown into a multi-million-dollar business where I'm the vice president of sales. And the other thing that I identified that I wanted in your seminar was I wanted to make a difference in people's lives, and I thought that what that looked like to me at that moment was that I had to go back to school, get a master's degree, and maybe be a therapist or something like that. But now I make a difference in people's lives because I bring happiness to them and I bring my fun to them, because the line of sun stashes that is now, has now developed out of this business that I started with 9 years ago. It's a party on your face. It's fun. It's it's amazing. And we were on Shark Tank this past in 2014. Our business growth is going to be huge this year. I'm just in the middle of this really exciting explosion of business, and yet I go home at night and I sleep like a baby because if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, I'm free. I'm not an
You're gonna
owner.
be fine.
Yeah, and you know, I have more income potential than I've ever had in my life. I'm having fun. I don't have stress. I work for people who have good integrity. They value integrity. These are all things that, you know, they sound very basic, but I didn't think this was possible.
Well, what I recall in this beautiful letter you sent us this past year, that while at the time it seemed a little counterintuitive what you were coming up with in the program, it all came true.
It did. You know, I think back of my want list, and I can't think of anything that hasn't been met. And it didn't even seem like there was a position or a business out there that could meet those obscure needs, because they were sort of contradicting each other. You know, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't want responsibility. I want to be creative. You know, but I also want a fixed income. I want, you know, there's all these different things that just didn't seem that they would come together, and yet they have. And every year just gets better and better. And I'm just really grateful to you, because I don't think I would have given myself permission to explore anything like this if I hadn't, you know, started where I did 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Right. It's a little serendipitous because we had a program this weekend, and there was a point in the program where I told someone, you really need to have the courage to speak up about what you want, because if you don't do that, the world can't help you.
Right. And I think that's where I was prior to coming to see you. I was afraid to think about what I wanted, because when you give yourself permission, it's like divorce or anything else. When you give yourself permission to think about what else is out there, then you're almost forced to take a step that you're afraid to take. And like I said, by the end of the weekend with you, I felt like it was much more frightening to be stuck where I was for the next, you know, couple of decades than it would have been to any risk that I could have possibly taken. And it turned out that it really was risk-free. I allowed myself to be happy professionally, like I am personally, and I'm grateful. I'm really happy.
Well, thank you so much. You've personified what it's like to set yourself free.
Right. I feel free, and I'm not afraid anymore. Like, I'm not even afraid of what happens to this. I'm just not afraid, because I just feel like, okay, and now I know that, you know, you set your mind to something and you take the action steps, you know, anything's possible. So, you know, you're going to have your ups and downs, but it was great.